Hi, everybody. Welcome to our fifth episode of Meet the Changemakers. And today we are in conversation with the founders of The Gift of Learning. So, welcome, Arya, and welcome, Shivi. So, Arya is joining us from Northern Virginia, and Shivi is joining us from Atlanta. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to find out about the gift of learning. So let's really start off with when you guys decided that this is what you wanted to do and how things went on from there.
Yeah, I can answer this one. So, our foundation of the gift of learning really coincided with the pandemic. So we started pretty much right after all the schools started opening back up after the pandemic. And we noticed, like myself and included, we noticed that a lot of grades were declining. Everyone's grades were on the decline because due to the limited interaction with virtual learning, it's just a screen. It's hard to interact with a classroom full of 30 students, and everyone was just not doing as well as they were in person. So a lot of parents immediately remedied that situation, and they immediately hired personal tutors to help their kids just bring their grades back up again. But obviously there were some students who couldn't necessarily afford it, and so they were having that lack of that increased help. So that's what we were really targeting in the beginning. So we started in, I believe, somewhere around May of 2020. And so that was what our goal was in the beginning, that we were targeting low-income students and helping them through one-on-one virtual tutoring. However, as months went by, we expanded more than just low-income students. Now we're over the US, all over the US, Canada. We've expanded globally, and we've gone past like just one-on-one tutoring. We also offer like other resources, like we have webinars, we have monthly webinars. We've had a couple of good ones. Like we kind of are bridging that gap between high school and college, since that's kind of a gap that a lot of people are uneasy about. So we connect high schoolers with like people in the professional worlds, like doctors, law students, lawyers, all that, just to bridge that gap between that uncertainty of college and just the world and the career past high school. So that's really our motive and what we started with. If Shivi wants to add anything, you could go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Like that was our main goal. Like teachers, like they couldn't really have the one-on-one time with students. It was just a general class. Even like students, they weren't always comfortable. I know in Georgia, it's like, at least my school, it's asynchronous. We don't even have synchronous sessions. So like it really helps when a teenager or like someone who has taken that class has tips and tricks that they could help the student with. They help them one-on-one. They can help them prepare for like tests, like show them how to do it faster or easier, more efficiently. And with the webinars, of course, like every senior, junior is nervous about taking the SAT, ACT, like how to do college apps and like just how to approach it. So we just help with that and more. So what could you do in college, what you would want to do in college, and so on.
Yeah, and one of the greatest benefits of having like one-on-one tutoring is that these tutors are just fresh in high school. They've just gone through the material, so they know how to efficiently teach it in comparison to the teachers who must have learned this like topic maybe 30, 40 years ago. So they know the basics that they just learned, and so that's the most, I feel like, efficient way that our one-on-one tutoring is able to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, definitely leveraging a student's knowledge in helping another student is definitely more efficient than, having like teachers come over, like private tutors. So what I understand from your approach is that you have this twofold approach. You're trying to provide high school help and high school tutoring. At the same time, you're trying to bridge up the career-based, the career gap that can happen. And also you try and educate people about possible careers is what I understand. You spoke about how people interested in law and like pre-med and engineering and all that stuff happens. So let's talk about what kind of courses you have offered so far.
So we offer a really wide range of topics. So like the basic core classes, math, science, English, social studies. then this was when we started offering like more subjects varying, like computer science, so Scratch, Java, all other kinds of languages you could learn. We now offer art, music. We don't have a lot of students and tutors in those subjects, but we do have a couple. And I think those are really cool because we are not just focusing on academic related, we are also trying to bridge out and do more. Also, to add on, we are also doing SAT tip Sundays and stuff. So basically we post like SAT tip videos, so kind of like a micro learning system. So instead of learning big topics, you can learn tips and tricks on how to solve like a couple questions, like types of questions faster. So yeah, I think that's really helpful too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you could go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was not saying anything. You can.
Okay. Yeah, so we just offer a really wide range of topics because there's always something like drilled into our heads that STEM is the only like way to go. And we just want to emphasize that there's so much other than STEM. There's English, there's all the social sciences. So that's why we also offer those, just because there is something for everyone. Because a lot of people feel like if I can't go into STEM, I'm not going to have a successful career. So there's always something that someone's good at, even if it isn't STEM. And we just want to be there to offer that potential for them.
Yeah. How difficult has been teaching music and arts virtually?
So it's not been like necessarily hard since we are not really doing the work. We have tutors sign up who are interested in that, and we have students sign up who want to learn that. And the only thing we do is put the students, and then the tutors can just choose the students based on the timing, the days they're available, and so on. So yeah, it's primarily the tutors, and the tutors are usually really good at it.
Yeah, and that's where like I understand that like teaching through a screen dance isn't the most, it doesn't sound like the easiest thing, but our tutors have been able to teach their students and we've gotten like a lot of good feedback from it. So we understand things have been going well through that.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of virtual online concerts, and I think everybody's trying and they're trying to do a good job. So it's important that people try. Let's talk about your impact that you've had on society. How much have you expanded in the not expanded technically, what have you achieved in the past 1 year or less than that?
Shivi, do you want me to take this or you want to go ahead?
I can talk. So we have expanded a lot, especially in the beginning once we started. We just hit it off really well. We branched out to our families, friends, and brought them over, and a lot of them, we offer service hours, so a lot of them, especially high school students, are looking for those. And at the same time, they're helping the community, especially during COVID. So just the fact that they're coming over, like we started really, really well. Like now it has kind of streamlined just because school has started and like all these tutors are going back to their schoolwork. Yeah. But at the same time, we have like tutors who have been tutoring for months, and then some leave and more join, and then some tutor students have been here for like months too. And then so it's just kind of like a process, and like it started out really well. It's kind of streamlining. We are adding more stuff. And I'm sure it's going to be going really good soon again.
Yeah. And one thing I want to point out is that how much we grew like wide. Like at first we were really concentrated in Northern Virginia, and then we expanded, of course, out of Virginia. We traveled like all over the US. We've like, I think we have at least one from every single state. We branched out to Canada. We got a couple like internationally, like from India. We've got some Australian ones. And then we also had a partnership with Uganda. So we taught like children in an orphanage in Jinja, Uganda, like southern Uganda. And so that was like really eye-opening that we could help kids like in a totally different kind of setting outside of the US, and something that we're currently used to.
Yeah, so let's talk about how you reach out to people. Is it like, say if it's India, you might have your relatives or something in that place, but you spoke about Uganda. Like, how do you actually reach out to so many countries, and how do you like establish your base there?
Yeah, so the biggest thing for that is connections. We've established a huge base on social media. So that's mostly how we are able to reach out to so many places. That's really how we reached out to a lot of orphanages. And yeah, with our like connections, like we have some teachers who know other people in different countries. So one of our board members teacher like has some relatives in Uganda, so they connected us with that orphanage, because obviously
Right.
not all of them have an internet presence, so maybe they are not able to find us like on Instagram because maybe they don't have as much internet access or something. But through word of mouth and just a lot of connections, we're able to build that like familiarity with people overseas, even if they've never met us.
Yeah, just to add on to that, like people like there are so many accounts on Instagram too who are just asking for help for education, food, all that stuff. So we kind of reach out to those people who we know, especially in these third world countries where technology, internet, education is not necessarily a priority for these people. So we are trying to reach out to them, trying to figure out a way of how we can help them through virtually and not being there in person, how like we can provide them education, make them learn their cultures, as well as like America is very well off in terms of education. But when you like when at least when I looked at these third world countries, I was really surprised at like actually how bad the situation is.
Yeah, and like when we had our calls with the orphanage in Uganda, there would just be one screen and 20 people just huddled over that one phone screen. So it was just kind of interesting to see this like social contrast between these two countries.
Yeah. So a short story about me. I moved to the US about 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. So I did a part of my high school and most of my middle school in India, and then I came here. So I won't necessarily say that India is backward in terms of education, because I went to good school and everything. But definitely there is a mismatch in opportunities, that just the number of opportunities that students have in the US and the whole access to technology, that's not something everybody enjoys. And what you said about kids in Uganda just being just so fascinated by just having a phone screen, it's not something we're so used to, and it takes us by surprise when we first see it. So let's talk about COVID-19. So Shivi said how COVID-19, like it really helped you guys establish things, and now things are like streamlining off a little bit. So what are your future goals? Say the pandemic is getting over, maybe in the next 5 months or so. What are your future goals for this organization to grow?
Do you want me to answer that, Arya?
Yeah, sure. I'll
Okay,
just add
yeah.
on.
Yeah, we definitely plan to expand more. Like we have thought about doing maybe in-person classes. We haven't exactly like discussed it to length yet, but we definitely want to go to the next level, you know. Like you can only do so much over virtually and digitally.
Yeah.
So like perhaps starting some fundraisers. Like right now, our only means of getting funds is GoFundMe, which is also like we can't communicate properly. So doing fundraisers, like you get to interact with people, like you can see them face to face, and I think that would really help getting more people into this. And even like teaching in person or doing in person classes, maybe we could just have like so much more better results rather than online, because you can like face obviously like all kinds of technological problems like internet issues. Like we were facing with Uganda too, like they didn't necessarily have a good laptop internet connection. They couldn't get on Zoom sometimes, so we had to use Instagram. But yeah, you face like a lot of problems online, and I think definitely our first thing to do would be to like discuss how we could take this to the next level and in person.
Yeah, and along with fundraisers, we're like working on care packages. So like with the Uganda, we want to send like school supplies, or there was another thing, like we had a refugee camp from Bhutan. So we were working with like them to get, they didn't even have laptops with them. So that was the first step. We couldn't even tutor them because they didn't have any laptops to get tutored on. So we worked on like raising, donating laptops so they could have laptops. So all that fundraising stuff was a huge aspect. And another thing is we're trying to get more partnerships, because with partnerships, we're able to reach out to a larger audience. So
Yeah.
just recently, we've gotten a partnership with a student loan company. So we're excited to see where that takes us.
Yeah. So the second part of my question is going to be for Arya specifically. So since you're a senior right now, you're going to be going to college. Maybe I'm guessing you're going to college next year. You are,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to assume, but so how do you plan to continue working with the gift of learning? So are you going to be actively involved with them, or are you going to leave them, or are you going to start off a new chapter in whichever university you go to? So yeah.
No, I mean, I'm so rooted into gift of learning. I feel like I'm kind of a part of it, even if I were to like go, I don't know, a couple hours away from, because since everything's virtual, see, like for example, Shivi is not even near where we live, but she's still able to connect with us daily, and we're able to brainstorm together and work out our goals for the month or the year. So, I mean, just me going to another place isn't gonna really impact that. I mean, of course, the scheduling and classes might take a toll of that, but I'm always going to make some time for gift of learning because it just really is something special, and we can't wait to see how much we grow.
Absolutely. A lot of people, they just stop their initiative after they graduate because it's something they just want to do it for college,
Yeah.
just to put it on their applications or resumes. But the fact that you want to continue working with it even after graduation, since you've put so much of effort into it, I think that's a beautiful thought to take away. So my last question is for the both of you, and after this we will end our interview. Tell me about the most notable memories, one of the most notable memories that you have had while being on board.
I think my most notable memory would obviously be helping people. Like, that's just a given. I love what we do. We get like so many feedbacks, videos of students saying they learned so much. And it's just like the sweetest thing ever to like see how much like what you're doing is actually helping people. So that's my favorite part as a organization. But personally, this organization has like helped me further my achievements so much. Like, I am now more comfortable talking to people, doing interviews like this one, meeting with adults from like actual big companies, talking with them, and like, I don't know, it's really nice to expand my like how much I can do in terms of social interaction and all that too. And I just love meeting like leaders of other organizations, see how like what other organizations are doing. And there's so many, and I didn't know that before I started the Gift of Learning. So after meeting those, I was just like, it was really an eye opener.
Yeah, I love how this initiative has affected you like at a personal level, and it's something which is like deeply rooted into you. Yeah, and Arya?
Yeah, I've definitely seen the personal growth too. Like back in May, we had our like first webinar and we were like stuttering through the whole thing. And now we look back at our most recent webinar and we're like, oh my God, look how far we've come just from those couple of months. And I have to say, like, one of the best moments was when I was actually tutoring in the organization. And it was like one of my last days because school was about to start and I just didn't know what my schedule was going to be. And so she made like my student made like this whole card and poster, and she's like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss you. I'm like, oh my God, just to like see how you've touched someone on a deep, like a personal level, and what impact you've had on them is just so sincere to see. It just like made my day, and so that was the most touching moment I had.
That is so sweet. That is so sweet. Wow. I'm so happy to see how successful the both of you have been, how successful your organization has been. And I think like it's something that student leaders have within them that makes them so uh, outreaching for some sort, and it just makes that initiative uh, friendly for other people, and it makes them, it's like it's easier for people to reach out to student organizations than any other private service or like any kind of other person. So thank you so much for all the work that you're doing, and I wish you all the best for the future. Thank you so much for being on Teen Talk. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to the both of you.
Thank you so much for having us. This is really good of an opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thank you.